Hello, this is Paul from Now Gamer.
And this is Adam.
This is the latest episode of Indecent Exposure, where we try and introduce you to some indie games that you might not have heard of. So the first game we've got is an early access game called Snow, which Adam's been playing. So tell us about Snow.
Well, I'm big into snowboarding and skiing and things like that. So anytime I see a snowboarding or skiing game, then I'm automatically interested. But yeah, this is very much an alpha game, so it's a little bit buggy. You'll probably see in the video. A lot of times it glitches out, you fall through the scenery and spawns don't work and things like that. But it's very much an alpha game, so you have to forgive it for that. This is less SSX and more kind of, I suppose, simulation skiing game. It's more about finding your own route. You can spawn on the big mountain. You can go wherever you want. It's about finding your own route and tricking and things like that. It's a little bit rough around the edges. I mean, it's built on CryEngine, so it looks nice, but mechanically it doesn't play perhaps as nice as it will. But you can see that the potential's there, and it's very interesting snowboarding skiing game. They are adding snowboarding at a later date. It's not actually in there yet.
What, skiing or snowboarding?
Skiing's in there now.
Right.
Snowboarding is coming at a later date. That's the only reason I'm interested is for the snowboarding, to be honest. But it's certainly got a good base foundation. You have a main general mountain, which is more off-piste stuff, and you have kind of event type places with tricks and jumps and grinding. Grinding isn't its strongest suit, to be honest, but I think they're working on that one. But it's good. It's good, solid foundation for what's there. It's going to be free to play when it is released, and the idea being you can pay for customization with hats and boards and skis and pants and whatever else it is you want.
Can I just ask, I know when you started playing it a while ago, there wasn't much in terms of objectives, and it was kind of very much open. I mean, is that still the case?
That is still the case, and I think that's primarily one of the things about the game is it is a little bit more open as to what you do. What the developers want to do is try and target the sense of being on a mountain yourself, of wanting to find that route and just enjoying the snow and the skiing and the snowboarding experience. But I think at a later date they will be adding that kind of stuff in. Certainly competitions and things like that. They'll be adding all that in. Like I say, it is alpha and there's only a handful of people working on it. So it's slow going, but certainly if you're interested in skiing games or snowboarding games, this is one to keep your eye on, I think.
That's you can get on Steam. As I say, as Adam said, it'll be free to play. But if you want to play the alpha, it's $10.99 on Steam normally for the starter pack. But obviously, summer sale at the moment, so I think it's currently $5.49. So you might be able to pick it up for a bit cheaper.
Now, this next one up is Noir Syndrome, which is, I believe, it's a procedurally generated detective game, which basically sounds right up your street, Paul.
Yeah. Well, I basically just thought it had noir in the title, and that's pretty much enough for me. But it is very much in that style, and it looks quite simple. It's simple pixel art look, but still quite stylistic. And the music's actually surprisingly good. Obviously, it's in that kind of genre as well of noir, so it's really cool in that aspect. Yeah, as I say, it's a procedurally generated detective game.
How does that work then?
Yeah, I mean, it's relatively simple, I will say that, but essentially you have a map and you can choose which buildings to go into. People will get killed at different rates each time, and you can go to a crime scene, or you might speak to somebody and they'll tell you, oh, this place is a bit suspicious, so you can go there. If you're at a crime scene, you can search the area and find items, and certain items will give you clues. So if you find a bullet casing, for example, the game will tell you that basically means the person who did it is either a police officer or a mobster. Civilians wouldn't have bullet casings. I mean, in real life they could obviously get a gun, but that's how it works in this game. You find items that narrow down the type of person it could be.
Right.
Then you also have to speak to people who will tell you, oh, I think this person did it, and then that will be a suspect. And then you have you build up your list of suspects and evidence, and you have to match those things up, what you know from the evidence to what the person is, and then you can choose to arrest somebody, and then after you've arrested them, it will tell you whether you have got the right person, or if you arrested the wrong person, in which case you fail the game. You've got a set amount of time to do this as well. It's not a particularly sort of complex game, but it lends itself to being played very quickly. It's the type of game that you could just sort of, I fancy having a 5-minute go on this, because each run through is very short. It's actually on. I mean, I've played it on PC, but it's actually on Android as well. I wonder if it might actually be more suited to that for people who are interested in.
Purely play.
Yeah, purely because it's one of those things that you can play quickly, and it's quite an interesting game compared to some more maybe throwaway mobile stuff. I mean, it's quite interesting in that regard.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. Sounds like a digital version of Guess Who.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. As I say, it's not particularly complex and very, very quick, but the idea of having a different case each time, and I like that thing of having to narrow it down yourself and to work out who it is. So yeah, it's a decent little game.
So that's Noir Syndrome, yeah?
Yeah, and so as I said, it's on Steam, £4.99, again Steam sale. I think it's £3.34 at the moment, and it's also on Android as well.
The last one we've got this time around is Space Run, which is pretty much my perfect game. It's got hexagons in it, it's got resource management, it's got everything I want, tower defense basically. So if you're into strategy games, I certainly think it's worth giving this one a look. It's actually out now, it came out fairly recently, it came out in June. We've done a review on it on NowGamer, but yeah, it's basically kind of your traditional tower defense game, but with a few different spins on it. The big idea here is that, well, as it's in the title, Space Run, is that you have to get through the level as quickly as possible and move from left to right, and various waves attack you during that time. You can build boosters to make you go faster, but they're optional. If you want to get the highest 5-star rating, then you need to do that, but primarily your focus is going to be building on towers to defend yourself from the obviously increasingly difficult waves. Everyone knows how tower defense works now. It's kind of a fairly traditional genre.
Yeah.
But it does still do, the way it plays feels fairly fresh, so it's all based in real time. You can angle the turrets in certain ways, but you can also move them, and when you get a lot of waves coming in, it's about not only building new turrets to counteract that, but using the ones you already have to their best advantage.
Does the shape of the ship, is that set, or is that something you have some control over?
That's specific to each level, so you have various different companies that you can do space runs for, and each of them have different types of cargo. One might just be standard cargo, and that takes up a slot, so you therefore can't build a tower on it. Others might have these energy crystals that sap power, which means you can't power your turrets to be more powerful as easily. And it's things like that. It does require a little bit more strategy with these particular levels, but the actual shape of the ship is all down to the mission that you're playing on. It kind of gives you more of a puzzle element as you try and figure out where to put the towers, where best to place them for the incoming waves, and obviously you'll need to replay certain levels, the hard levels, as you figure out where these waves are coming from. But it's interesting enough. It does something a little bit different. I personally love tower defense games and strategy games like this. So if you've ever enjoyed something like Pixel Junk Monsters or anything like that, then you're probably going to appreciate this one, I think. I think it'll be good for strategy fans in particular.
Okay, and that's another one that's on Steam. So £10.99, again Steam sale, £8.24 at the moment.